Okay, thank you, everyone. We do have a quorum, so we will get started here. You got an agenda, Leanne?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I just switched to the screen, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd think I know how to run a meeting without an agenda.
Well, it's,
There we go. Okay, we want to go around the room and then online to do attendance, or yes, no?
we can go around the table to introduce ourselves, and then we can mention the names of the people that we see online.
Okay, let's start around the table here.
Hi, Lori Vinacore from the Alliance of Delray Residential Associations.
Paul Dumars from the Finance Committee.
Jerry Brown from the Budget Advisory Committee.
Maria Antuna, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County.
George Elmore, I think Economic Council, but could be others too.
Rick Miller, Finance Committee.
Joseph Sanchez, COO.
David Porter, representing Construction Oversight and Review Committee.
Leanne Evans, treasurer.
Heather Frederick, Chief Financial Officer.
David Dolan, Chief Facilities Management.
Radcliffe Brown, representing Technical Advisory Committee.
Blair Littlejohn from the Office of General Counsel.
Kristen Vara, the Office of General Counsel.
Okay.
Okay, and then online, we have Patrick Franklin, Eddie Rhodes,
Yes.
and Salvatore Manuel.
Good morning.
Good morning, and I think we also have Mrs. Brill attending the meeting. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Okay, that's everyone. Public comments, any public comments? Seeing none, we are moving on. Items for approval, Leanne, turn it back over to you.
Okay, we're going to run through that presentation that we've got set up for you. It hopefully summarizes everything. This moves it to full screen.
That's big enough.
Okay, so sales tax revenues continue to come in ahead of projections. We're at about 28% of projections right now. And month over month, I'm not even really paying attention to the projections other than watching for when we hit that target. And I still expect we will hit that target and we'll sunset a year early. I'm looking at year over year to see how much it's growing. So when you looked at last month, the money that came in March, which was earned in January, we were 9% growth over the prior year, the same period. We got money this week. I mean, this is showing March. The April revenues came in yesterday. So I didn't get to update the report, but it came in yesterday, and it came in at 5% month year over year. So it appears to be slowing a little bit, but we're still growing. Sales tax is pretty remarkable. It's 123.6% projection. We'd expected to receive 773 million. At this point, we have 950. So the line of credit that we have in place is expiring at the end of July, and we will let it expire. We don't need it anymore. I have the reminder of the sunset provision. At this point, as I said, I do expect it's going to end a year early. It would take something very dramatic for it to not end early. Sales tax expenditures at 580 million. Open purchase orders, we have a spike up. There's a lot of work going on in the district right now with 159 million. Interest earnings, they have grown pretty substantially in the last few months with interest rates rising as they have. The last time we met, it was 7 million, and now you're at almost 17 million. So change in interest rates making a big difference. The fees for that line of credit are 465,000. So there's over 16 million of interest earnings that we'll be able to apply to projects. And we've got part of that, at least part of that built into that analysis we did back in June and how we were going to make sure we could get all the work done. There's actually more since we had that. So we're just continuing to monitor all the revenue sources involved with the sales tax.
If it ends December 2025, when's the last dollar we actually get from the state? June?
No, it's interesting. Collections through September 1st, that means revenue, that's what we would receive by the end of August. That's earned through June. So we would have to hit the 1.35 billion by September 1. It doesn't shut down till December, so we have 6 more months of revenue after we hit that threshold.
Yeah, my question was, when would we get the last dollar? Because that's,
The last dollars would come in February.
Oh,
There's a
would,
2 month
that's soon.
lag.
Oh, all right,
It'd
we
be- It'd
got-
be February of 2026.
Okay.
Takes a few months for it to all ramp down.
so we would still have dollars to spend, and this committee's existence would stay through that last dollar
Yes,
expenditure.
but remember, the 1.35 billion was the original scope. We do have projects that are coming in over budget, and
Right.
we planned for some excess money. We have more than I had told everybody we were going to have. There's also a chance, and I know Ms. Brown and I have talked about it, I hesitate to say that because my partner in crime over there is thinking, how can he spend it? But Ms. Brown and I have talked about, it is growing so fast, I'm now monitoring the possibility of shutting down 2 years early. I don't think it would happen. It would have to be about 15% growth year over year consistently through the end of the program, and I'm not seeing that. But we are monitoring that. Sherry and I talk about it every once in a while, and
Right.
I'm tracking it. I don't think there's a chance it would be there, but we'd
Do
like
you
to
see
be-
the committee staying until the money is spent?
Yes.
So that's what I thought.
Yes. So the committee will last longer than December 2025. It'll take another couple of years for all the money to be spent.
Yeah, with the first referendum, I think we went at least 2 years after the last dollars were collected until all the, was it, oh my God, okay.
It ended in 2010, and the last meeting was early 2016. But with that one, we were building schools, and we actually had some schools that we said we just don't have enough money to build, because we were using COPS to finance a lot of those schools. And then we ended up with extra sales tax at the end, and we said, okay, we have enough money to build one more school. So we had to start at the end with another construction project. That was the conservatory.
Oh, right.
So scary that I have all that in my head.
Scary that I was around and on the committee for it then, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about some schools in a little while that I think are very new schools, and they're really not, but I was here to finance them, so they seem like it was just yesterday. So this is the summary of everything, and it shows the amounts, and we do have some changes. We have facility renewals have increased by 14.9 million, and we're taking money out of the sales tax reserve to fund those projects. So we talked about those, and we'll go through the presentation and point out when we try to give you heads up, because when the committee meets, sometimes we know a project is coming, and we're in negotiations, we don't have final numbers. So there's a slide a little further in when we say, these are the things that are coming over the next 3 months. This is how much we think it's going to be. So all these increases are ones that we had told you about at the last meeting, and we just have actual budget numbers. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get to that slide in just a minute. But this is the document we put together. So it shows original budget, the current project budget, the change since the last meeting, cumulative change. And remember, the facility renewals actually went down because we took 4 large facility renewal projects from sales tax and financed them with COPS to free up some room to help deal with construction price escalation. So that's why it's still less than what we started with. Expenditures through March 31st with the sales tax, that's the 579 million. Open purchase orders committed to date is the sum of the expenditures and the purchase orders. So the referendum committed to date is 52%. It's 67%, or almost 68% if you consider just the money we've received so far, instead of the whole bucket of money. With that, we're going to get into some proposed plan modifications, and I think Mr. Dolan was going to cover those. Or do you want me to cover the first ones?
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
Okay.
You can do the first one.
I'll do the first ones. The first ones, I started off with them and said, and Mr. Dolan agreed. We have some ancillary facilities. So the Mary and Robert Pugh Leadership Center at H.L. Watkins, and then we have H.L. Watkins. There's an ancillary building at Lantana Elementary and Lantana Elementary. We're going to merge those projects together. They're on the same site. It's a lot easier for the contractor to manage the projects. It's easier for me to track them because we don't have a separate location number in our financial system for those ancillary buildings. So it helps on the finance side, and it helps on the construction side, Did you want to add to that?
No, that was it. I wanted to make sure we were doing one contract and expedited, because we also didn't want to have to worry about where the monies were coming from, both of them, keep them all together as one project.
Are the ancillary facilities part of the referendum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, there's, if you look at the report, and I'll actually show it to you when we go through well, on the actual PPM, so we pull it up, you can see we're actually crossing one out and increasing the
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't adding something to a referendum
Yeah, no.
project that wasn't, but they're both there, so it's fine.
They were all there. The next batch, and there's a lot of these.
Yeah, if you want me to, I
You
can
can
jump on these
go
ones.
right ahead.
Okay, these next grouping, 153 to 170, quite a number of them they're simply, we're doing a lot of work. Thanks to, I guess I get to tout my own boss, but thanks to Mr. Sanchez coming in, we were really ramping up a lot of services. BEMP, the first one on the list is, we're painting the exterior of the schools. And this year, we've done a miraculous job. Our maintenance department has pulled out and managed to paint the exteriors of 80 schools already this year. And because of that, we're moving money forward from these projects that are in the later years to make sure, let's get them done now. We call it BEMP. It's basically building envelope, but it's painting, waterproofing the exterior of the building. Same thing can be said for the exterior stairs. These are projects that are underway. We needed additional funds to cover them, so we're pulling that money forward to expedite the repair of stairs. Safety is absolutely paramount for us. Fencing, we're pulling a few dollars forward for a couple of projects where our, I'll just say our front fencing, we are no longer using as our standard, the standard battleship gray aluminum-looking chain link fence. So on the front fence, we're actually, as part of our standards, are using the black vinyl fence. So that added a couple of dollars, so we wanted to make sure we pulled the money forward to take care of that service right away. And this next one I wanted to, again, tout my boss and the effort that Mr. Sanchez has made since in his return. He's made it a concerted effort to visit a lot of the schools and sit down with the principals and walk through and experience what are they seeing and where are things needed. And this track replacement at Palm Springs was on our referendum, but it's a few years out. And when we walked to schools, it became quite apparent that we needed to move it up and get the services done right away. So that's one of our asks here. And the same thing is furniture replacement at Yeager Middle School. The furniture replacement is part of our referendum, but what we found is many of the things that, and I know I bore people, I love what I do, but people want to know what kind of fun stuff did you do? How did it impact the kids and the teachers and whatnot? And I think replacing air conditioning is absolutely fabulous because I love that it's going to last. But that's kind of boring. Furniture replacement certainly has a huge impact, a direct impact on the students. And so we've really made a concerted effort with Mr. James Campbell to push forward some of our furniture replacements. And this just happens to be one right now because it's really, it's a big plus when the students see those, the improved environment.
Did Mr. Sanchez go to Palm Springs and run a 5K around the track to determine that it needed to be replaced now?
Okay, the next one, this is, I think Ms. Evans was referring to earlier. These are 4 projects that they're on our facility renewal list, but they are some of the last ones because, in fact, they're some of the newest schools, and I say newest on a scale, but so they have much smaller budgets, and primarily building envelope was the big scope in each of their referendums. And as it turns out, in order to do those projects, we're painting these schools as well. These are, our maintenance department. We needed a little extra money to make sure that we cover the costs, the current costs necessary.
Yeah, with these were also, the scope was painting and a little bit, I think there was some boiler work and very small other work that's going to be handled by our maintenance department. And instead of moving part of it up and then coming back 2 years from now and picking up that last 20,000 of work, we've just moved it all up. So these schools will be done. And these are the ones where I said, these feel like new schools to me. I remember financing them, but they were 2005. So I guess they're not brand new and they need to be painted.
With the previous one and this one, there's no extra money being requested. These are just shifting things around.
These four this is the amount of money they're asking for
Asking
additional.
for additional.
The
Okay,
last
and
page-
increase, okay,
Right. The
okay.
last slide, there was no extra money. These four do need extra money.
Okay. Do you want to go kind of a page at a time and approve these? And that way we won't forget what they were?
Okay.
Maybe go back to that one. So these are all just shifting things around, no
Right.
extra money.
No extra money.
All right, do I have a motion by someone to accept BPM 149 to 170?
I'll motion to accept that.
Okay.
Second.
By Mr. Elmore. Anybody opposed? Okay, that's a unanimous, okay. Maybe next page. And now these are extra funds that are already available that you're needing for these schools,
This is taking some money from sales tax reserve to fund the increases.
right? And these are actual numbers, not just budgets.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay,
I'll motion to approve PPM 171 to 174.
okay, need a second? Second by Mr. Elmore. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, these are accepted, okay.
Okay, and the next one, go ahead. I was going to say, you want to lead off on these?
Well, I was just going to say, last time you probably
There you
remembered seeing something like future plan modifications, projected contracts for the last 3 months. We did this back in November when we met, and there was a whole bunch of things on the list. All those things on the list are now coming up, and we have real numbers for them. So most of these, and Dave can correct, but I think most of these have actually been awarded.
Yes,
or-
correct.
or
They are
close.
all awarded. Yes, they are all awarded GMPs.
How did these numbers compare to what you guesstimated and told us last time?
All but one came in under.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
One came in
Excellent.
over, but the others were all under.
wow, very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in this economy.
Well, that's the thing, we were being conservative when we were putting our future modifications and being, stringent when we actually came to pricing them.
Excellent.
They're under what we told you, but they're still over budget.
Yeah,
Everyone-
Yeah.
I understand that, but that's,
I just want to make sure that's clear.
And
that's
that's
the state of the market. I mean, it's unfortunate. Construction inflation is still out there.
And these are within the realm of that, which I know, Mr. Porter, I know you always ask about the additional funds that are available to cover these overages. We talked about the 4 high schools, the money for the 4 high schools.
Yeah, I guess I would like to see that kind of bottom line balance of these extras coming off of that to then have proof that we can okay these.
See, I set myself up for the criticism. I knew it was coming.
Not gonna be
I figured I'd just
criticism,
put
it's
myself
just
out there.
obviously
I know
they're extra
we're in the works of doing it. We actually have a Power BI database, and we're trying to fine tune it to make sure it's legible for everybody else.
So these are coming out of construction contingency,
They're coming out of the sales tax reserve.
right? Sales tax reserve. Do we know what that reserve is then down, what the balance of that is after these come out?
I'm going to pull up that report because I think it's important that you see, we are still producing the big report in order to get to these.
I wholeheartedly trust that you've done all of that, but I guess
Well, no,
as
it's
committee,
good.
we're here to just make sure that that's
Right.
been
That's
done.
correct.
So this is the report that we produce every time. It's a summary page. That was one of the slides. You've seen that before. And then what we do for each group, this is the summary. This is all the facility renewals are represented as one line here. It's all rolled up, and then you see all the other projects, and there's no changes in the other projects. But if we keep going just a little further, we'll get to the facility renewals. Right page.
But do you have a summary page of what the
Here they are.
contingency balance is?
Yes, that's up here. Went too far.
Well, that's all I was looking at is obviously, here's how much is in the checkbook, and here's how much extra we need to take out of the checkbook, and the checkbook is still going to have enough
The
money to
sales
do what
tax
we need to.
reserve, let me look one more. Sales tax reserve overall is at 102 million, right here.
Okay,
More money will be coming into that. That does not include the interest earnings that we talked about. I only have it at 9 million up here, and it's up to 17, almost 17 now. It also doesn't take into account the extra sales tax money that we're expecting to receive that was baked into it. This is just the amount that's currently available in the budget. But actually, that's what's currently in the capital plan. We are not budgeting for the extra money. If I go to this next slide, it shows that in the current year, we have 51.5 million left after all these projects are funded. More money comes into the sales tax reserve next fiscal year. So one of the things I'm working with Dave on, we're trying to expedite projects and move that up, and we can do that within the budget constraints that we have. So he could do up to $51 million worth this year, and he's got some more coming that we're going to talk about.
so bottom line is, you're telling us when we take this out of the reserve, we're still fine in doing everything the taxpayers were told we were going to
Yes.
do?
Correct.
Fine.
Yes. And, while I'm on this report, you'd asked about the ancillary, I just wanted to show.
Yeah,
you.
as I
We
say,
haven't
it's
looked
right
this
at the
report.
top because of
We
A.
haven't looked at this in a long time.
Yeah,
You'll see,
ancillary.
here's one that was, I've crossed it out,
Mm-hmm.
and you see it went down. The better one is Don Estridge. Safe Schools at Don Estridge and Don Estridge, they're side by side. So you can see the Safe School went down by 405, and then the school went up. So we've just moved the money from one project to another. And it's going to stay on the report forever, so with a strike through, but it's still there. So all the information that we summarize in that report, in the presentation, is all here. And that information is available online in board docs to dig into if you'd like to dig into numbers, like some of us do. The proposed plan modifications that we're summarizing for you, they're all here as well. All the backup for every one of them. If I scroll down, I'll get down to where Dave is at. So we did a lot of shifting of money, but if we get down to where you're at, Dave. Suncoast. Here's Coral Sunset. So it shows that it's a
the
budget
next slide.
change.
Yeah.
There's a budget change, and it shows that it's going up by 2.5 million, and sales tax reserve is going down by 2.5 million. And then it has a running total. It has the starting budgets, the changes, and then how much is left. So after each individual PPM, you can see how much is left in the sales tax reserve.
Oh, okay, good.
So it doesn't, that doesn't translate really super, maybe I need to work on how putting that into the presentation. I'm glad you brought that up. Whenever questions come up, it gives me an opportunity to put something else in the summary.
There's an opportunity to play with more numbers, I know.
You know me. But it is all included in these PowerPoint presentations, in the proposed plan modifications. And at the end of the meeting, I take them and break them into individual documents, and each PPM is loaded on the website. So when you look at these reports, instead of having to scroll through them all like I just did, you'll be able to go to each one individually.
Dave, are you seeing any generalized percentage increase of job costs in all of these extras that we're asking for, like 20% over budget, or?
I wouldn't want to assume a generalized,
okay.
but yeah, the vast majority are up by some percentage, but in fact, and I think we've talked about this previously at Cork, some of our numbers are actually coming down.
Yeah.
Slightly, like we may have hit a crest on certain disciplines.
Okay. Leanne, my request when you do this page next time is tell us what the original budget was at the same time you're telling us what the increase was. Because if Coral Sunset happened to be a $2 million original budget and it's going up by 2.5, it's double the budget.
Right.
That's a bigger question than if something's going up, by 10%.
Right. And we do have that available right here, so it's easy for me to pull that together. This is the one for Coral Sunset. The original budget was 8.4 million. It's going up 2.5 to 10.9.
That's a decent percentage. Now, is that all just inflation, or has there been some scope added back?
Particularly in Coral Sunset, it's actually additional roof.
Okay,
We had originally put in the GMP, our plan was to do one roof replacement, and the other 12 buildings were all going to be a roof over, just a roof coating. And we realized based on the conditions that we needed to do all 12 of those roofs, and that's the vast majority of that, on that particular project.
Okay.
And no, I don't normally know all the details behind all these. That one just stands out for me.
So if, we can certainly do that in the future in the presentations,
Yeah,
because we absolutely have all the data right
Yeah,
here.
and we even do it when we track them, we have a spreadsheet that we're working through. We'll just make another column, make sure we start with that number.
Lori?
Oh, yeah, I just have a question. How much is going to be removed from reserves for all these proposed projects?
Let me see, that's,
This is the
add that
14.9.
report.
About 12
I think
million?
it's like 14.9.
Yeah.
13 million?
That's right, it's right up here at the beginning,
It was at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
right here,
Wonderful.
14.9.
14.9.
14, okay, thanks.
Okay, I think you can go back to that summary page, and we can then kind of vote on that. Anyone have any more questions on these? If not, I need a motion that we accept these additional expenditures. Motion by someone?
I'll make the motion. It all looks like it works. So I'll make the motion to
Second.
have these.
Okay, second by Mr. Dumars. Any other discussion? All right, anybody opposed? Okay, these are accepted.
This is the slide in which I usually identify for everybody all the projects over the next 3 months that I am projecting. Well, the interesting thing, and I guess maybe my staff will all applaud, the next 3 months are pretty much crazy construction. So, summer is coming upon us. So we fall off on our GMP executions. So we don't anticipate, we're not taking our next GMP for any of these facility renewals until August. So we don't actually have any projections for the next 3 months, except for these. And Leanne, do you want to touch on the transportations or?
There's two projects. They're at 12.5 million apiece, and they're expecting $10 million increase for each one. So I'm bugging him for a little more details.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, okay, it's
Right.
a bump.
Yeah, and it's based on a minimalized scope, but we got to make sure we do a proper job for each of those facilities. And it may well have been slightly underestimated in the referendum initially. So based on what we're looking at now, these are some of which is escalation, some of it
And
is.
the transportation projects are ones, I can tell you, when they were building the project budgets, there was no one here that could estimate what that would cost. We hadn't done one since 2002. It's been a long time since we've done a bus compound. And in that analysis we did on how we were going to meet the rising cost, we had the 190 million, and I had an amount for construction projects. I had plugged in 20 million in the analysis for transportation. They have one more to do, though, so I'm a little nervous about what's coming on the 3rd, but we had factored in 20 million for the transportation complex.
We're going to do such a great job on both of these transportations that I might give some money back so that it'll cover the third one.
This meeting is recorded.
Okay, and then the next two that are on that list, Sandpiper Shores and Lake Worth, are both projects where we do actually have additional scopes, and the good majority of these are escalation, but we do have additional scope items that we're rolling into the project, meaning they were part of the referendum, but rather than doing, let's say, a particular percentage of classrooms, we're doing all the classrooms on something. So both of those are estimates. Again, I said it earlier, I am conservative in my estimates, so I'd like to think that when we meet in August, you'll see those two come back at numbers less than the 2 million that are listed.
And I plugged in the last one, just to remind you, we will I expect we'll still be advancing money. The big group we had before, if we have an opportunity to move work up, as long as we have money to do it, we're going to do that. We want to get the work done as quickly as we can.
That's Mr. Sanchez is doing.
Well,
I'm very happy about that, so.
I have a question. When you say complete projects, what are the projects? Is it air conditioner related?
Oh,
Is it
yes.
plumbing
Well,
related? What is?
Thank you very much. Wow, you're right into the facility renewal projects, the vast majority of the referendum that was passed in 2016 was our facility renewal projects. That is defined as a series of improvements to schools, upgrades of systems, and I'll use air conditioning. But we might have been challenged to be able to upgrade air conditioning units in past, but with the referendum, it gives us an opportunity to kind of all boats float together and get all air conditioning units to a much better standard, to a brand new, and the same thing for things like intercoms and fire alarms and playground equipment and furniture.
A lot of it is, it's the deferred maintenance. When the state when property values fell during the recession and taxing authority was reduced by the state, we just didn't have enough money to do the basic maintenance of the schools. And that's why we needed the sales tax, was just to start to get caught up. And that's what all these projects are. They're picking up all the things that we weren't able to do. Lots of painting, fixing air conditioners, floors, windows, doors, everything soup to nuts. On the website, the sales tax, and I can send that out as a link to remind you all, but it's actually, I think it's on board docs too. I have a link for the referendum project list, and you can go there and you can look at any school, and it lists all the work to be done in each school with the original budgets. The original budgets are not quite where they need to be now, but it's what we thought it was going to be back in 2016. So, but all that information's online, and we're tracking construction department is tracking to make sure they're meeting they're covering all those items.
And in addition to that, we've got a program in place now. Our schools generally, we try to, let's say they are to last 50 years. So we have a program of every 12 and a half years, let's say, just on average, of certain levels of upgrades and maintenance that have to be performed. 12 and a half years is another renewal. 5 is a major renewal. The 25 is a major renewal, and 37 is another
Refresh.
minor renewal, refresh, and then ultimately replacement or complete remodel. So we actually have plans on that, so we can keep track of schools long-term, so our future Leannes will know exactly when to spend the money at what schools.
Yeah, some of the work I can think of from construction oversight, bathrooms, impact windows, roofing, caulking and painting and exterior waterproofing, parking lots. Parking lots fail, they get potholes, they need to be replaced. Parking lot lighting, sports facilities, tracks, sometimes bleachers. So it's everything that wears out over time that needs replacement or some attention.
Okay. Again, thank you very much. It led right into the discussion on facility renewals. So here's some of the photos of
Just push the button to the right.
the right button, okay. Of the types of projects that are ongoing. You can see the entry doors, replacing entry doors at Highland as an example. Ceiling work, lots of restroom improvements, some of which is ADA compliance, but some of which is refreshing, so they're cleaner environments. Obviously, I'm so proud of all of our air handler work and chillers and such to make sure that behind the scenes, the air conditioning always works.
We've had 2 years in a row where we started open school and there were no air conditioner failures. And it's because of the
She
referendum.
just cursed us.
Oh, I know it. She had to say it.
It comes up. The board members talk about it. It's
True.
wonderful.
It's true. Every year in the past, it was the first week of school, however many number of air conditioning challenges, turning them on, full bore that first week. And now we've been very fortunate with a lot of the replacements we've done on the schools that needed it the most, prioritized. We've made it through a couple of good years. You can see fire alarms, water heaters. Again, like I said, I love this stuff, but I recognize the general public might not find that all that impressive. But and then moving on from the facility renewals, a couple of the other projects I wanted to outline, and we'll do a couple of videos in a moment, was many of you know about our high school, Dr. Joaquin Garcia High School. in Greater Lake Worth. We're very far along. It is opening up this summer. In fact, we're getting very close now, so quite impressed with the project. If you're wondering where this is, Woodlands Middle School is just that canal. It's on the other side of that canal. Some of our interior photos. Okay, our second new school that's under construction that will be opening up this summer is the West Boynton Middle School. This is directly adjacent to Sunset Palms Elementary School. You can see the white buildings are on the big picture on the left. The 3-story campus. A couple of our modernization projects. Grove Park Elementary and Malaluka Elementary. They're both in holding schools right now, while the schools are basically knocked down and rebuilt. In both schools, we were actually keeping a couple of buildings and completely renovating them because they didn't meet the age by which the state will allow you to knock them down. So they're being completely renovated along with the new portion of the work. Okay, at this time, I'm going to throw, if you want to throw a
have
video
these
on.
queued up. Which one would you
Sure,
like first?
Garcia. Again, I know I'm biased, but it certainly does have a college campus feel to it. It's a very modern college, university feeling facility. Can you pause that? I kind of knew this is a long. And here's our new principal for.
Welcome to West Boynton Middle School, your brand new middle school right in the heart of Boynton. The district is expanding. We're excited about all the programs we're bringing. We'll have Cambridge for the high performing. We're going to have pre-IT. We're going to have pre-medical, and we're going to have a lot of esports. We're looking forward to all those programs. We are going to absolutely educate, affirm, and inspire all of these students. We will be the West Boynton Stingers. This is going to be a game changer for this community. We are your best choice.
All right. And I believe that is.
A reminder of the future meetings, August 25th and November 17th.
Have you sent those to us before?
I believe I have sent them. I will double check that when I get upstairs.
Okay. All right. Anything else by anyone online or in the room? If not, we're adjourned until our next meeting. Thank you.